I wake up strapped into the seat, my hands clenched around the wheels so tight they hurt. My eyes snap open to see the cracked console in front of me, wires poking out like severed veins. The displays are dead. All of them, just shards of glass and busted circuits. Where am I? I glance around trying to make sense of the twisted metal, the sharp angles of rock outside the windshield. It comes back to me in patches, the crash. The rover's engine seized up and then everything flipped. I remember that much. But the rest? A blank space where the rest of my memory should be. I release the harness with one jerky motion and half fall out of the seat, hitting the ground harder than I expect. My legs feel like they're made of jelly. I scan my suit, scuffed up, torn at the knees and elbows, but I'm not bleeding. That's good. I run my hands over my chest, neck, face. No breaks, no bruises. I'm intact, at least on the outside. I look at the air around me, not really seeing it, just noticing. It's breathable, though something feels off about it. Doesn't matter right now. I push myself up, staggering toward the rover's back compartment. My movements are slow, every action careful. One wrong move could mean game over. I know that much. I pop open the storage hatch, revealing the chaos inside. Rations scattered everywhere, the med kit wedged under a busted crate. My helmet's cracked and useless, lying there like some sad piece of junk. I grab the med kit, shove a few packs of rations into the side pockets of my suit. Essentials first. The rover's exterior is worse than I imagined. Panels ripped clean off, engine block halfway buried in the dirt. I take a deep breath and kneel down, squinting at the undercarriage. Busted. Beyond busted. Even with every spare part I have, it'd take days to get this thing moving again. I grip my teeth. One thing at a time. I start a perimeter check. The crash site is at the bottom of a ravine. The walls are steep, jagged rock formations like teeth all around me. 100 meters up, the sky's this weird mix of colors, something you'd never see on Earth. Can't worry about that right now. Have to keep moving. I'm on autopilot, picking up pieces of scrap metal, wiring, piling them up in a spot next to the rover. I find a half-melted comms module, useless as it is, but I shove it into my pile anyway. Never know when you might need spare parts. Something catches my eye about 10 meters away, a shape in the dirt. I approach cautiously, eyes locked on the ground. I crouch down, brush away the dust with the back of my hand. A glove. My glove. And underneath it, a hand. Pale, stiff. The skin's starting to rot, peeling away from the bone. I fall back, my heart hammering in my chest. I force myself to look at it again. It's wearing the same suit as mine. It's me. My breath comes in bursts, and I slam my eyes shut for a second. This can't be real. I look again. It hasn't changed. My hand, my glove. But I'm standing here, not lying in the dirt. Focus, I mutter. I turn away from the body, shoving it out of my mind. It doesn't fit into the plan right now. I need to survive, find food, water, shelter. Whatever that thing is, I'll deal with it later. I grab a piece of broken metal from the pile, use it to dig out a shallow pit near the rover, something to shield me from the wind that's picking up. Small tasks, keep the mind occupied. I sit down back against the rover's wreckage and pop open a ration pack. I chew mechanically, staring at the rock formations around me. They're sharp, unnatural looking, like they were formed in a hurry. Doesn't matter, one problem at a time. I glance back to where I found the hand. It's still there, still wearing my glove. I swallow hard, forcing the food down my throat. Maybe I'm seeing things. Maybe I hit my head during the crash. Could be a trick of the light. Could be... No! I clamp down on the thought. It's real. Whatever's going on, it's happening. Denying it won't change a thing. I put the ration pack down, stand up again, and head back to the rover. Time to get to work. I yank open the side panel and start poking around inside. Wires, circuit boards, conduits, all messed up, melted, or twisted beyond recognition. Fix what you can, I mutter to myself. I pull out a multi-tool from my belt, start fiddling with the comms array. No response. The thing's dead. My mind drifts back to the glove, to the body. I shake my head, force my focus on the wiring in front of me. I've got a job to do. One wire at a time. I get to work. Not because I want to, but because I need something to do, something to keep my head busy. The rover's comm system is a mess of frayed wires and busted circuits, but there's a chance, however slim, that I can get something functional out of this wreck. I keep telling myself that as I hunch over the panel, prying off burnt connectors and scraping at the soot-blackened innards. "Come on," I mutter, pulling another tangle of wires free. "Just give me one damn connection." The sky overhead doesn't change much, just shifts in shades of greyish red that make it impossible to judge time. I focus on the tiny movements, stripping wires, twisting them together, connecting this to that. I lose myself in the repetition, the small rituals of repair. It's a comfort, a way to keep my mind off the thing lying just a few yards away. After what feels like forever, I manage to patch together a crude circuit. It's not pretty, but it might work. I connect the wires to the rover's power source and flip the switch. A spark jumps, and for a split second the comm panel lights up. But then it sputters, dies with a weak puff of smoke. I bang my fist on the panel. It's useless, another dead end. I step back, chest heaving, fists clenched tight. My eyes drift toward the pile of scrap I've been building. There's a half-melted module, a broken antenna, things I've salvaged in hopes of repurposing them. And lying next to it, almost as if mocking me, is a helmet, cracked, useless. I blink, squinting at the visor. It's scratched and smeared with dust, but underneath I catch a glimpse of my own reflection. Except it isn't. It's not quite my reflection. The scratches and cracks warp the image, and for a second, I see a different version of myself staring back. Older, haggard, the skin around the eyes sagging, eyes sunken. I stagger back, nearly tripping over my own feet. No, focus, I whisper, tearing my eyes away. It's just a helmet. It's just in my head. I leave the wreck and start walking along the ravine's edge, eyes scanning for anything useful. Water, food, anything that might help me. The ground crunches under my boots, every step heavy. I catch sight of some metal half buried in the dirt a few meters away. I quicken my pace, dropping to my knees when I reach it. It's part of a rover's hull. I brush the dirt aside, exposing more pieces. A wheel, the remains of a navigation module. I spot another compartment and pry it open. Inside are a few ration packs, flattened and long past usable. I find a logbook, a standard issue, water-damaged and smeared with dirt. I flip it open, scanning the pages. The handwriting is shaky, almost frantic. Words scrawled over words, repeated phrases, snippets of messages. I recognize the handwriting. It's mine. The log is filled with entries describing attempts to fix the comms, scout the area, find water. Each entry sounds more desperate than the last. Day, something. Lost count. Keep finding bodies. Not me. Yes, me. Can't be me. I read on, my mouth going dry. The entries describe things I haven't done, things I was planning to do. It's like reading a script of my own future. I snap the logbook shut and drop it as if it burned me. I look around, scanning the rocky horizon, searching for a pattern, an answer. The ravine stretches out in both directions, barren and indifferent. I force myself to breathe, to keep my thoughts clear. This changes nothing. It doesn't matter how many wrecks there are, or how many times I've apparently been through this. Today is what matters. This moment. Keep moving, I tell myself. Find something. My voice sounds thin, uncertain, even to my own ears. I move on, dragging my feet up the rocky slope of the ravine. My body screams with every step, muscles burning as I climb. I slip once, landing hard on my side, gasping. I roll onto my back and stare up at the sky. It's turning a deeper shade of red, the kind that makes everything around me look washed out, lifeless. I grit my teeth, push myself up and keep going, one foot in front of the other. At the top of the slope, I see another wreck, half hidden behind a jagged outcropping of rock. I approach cautiously, knowing what I'll find but hoping, praying, that this time it's different. The hull is scorched, bent at odd, severe angles. The door to the cockpit is bent open, and inside, slumped over the controls, is a body. My body. I force myself closer, eyes fixed on the corpse's face. The skin is dry, cracked, stretched tight over bone. The suit is torn in the exact same spots as mine. I reach out and touch the helmet. It crumbles under my fingers, falling away to reveal a face that's mine but not. I pull back, fighting the urge to retch. I turn away, hands on my knees, breathing hard. Not real, I whisper. It can't be real. But it is. I look back at the wreck, at the shattered equipment, the remains of the rover. It's real, and somehow, I've been here before. Done this before. I kneel beside the body and start searching through the cockpit. I find another logbook, half burned, but I don't open it. I already know what it'll say. I toss it aside and grab a tangled mess of wires and circuit boards. Something, anything, I can use. I shove the parts into my pack, stand up and make my way back to my own rover. My mind spins, questions piling up with every step. How many times? How many me's have crashed here? And why? When I reach my rover, I sit down hard, dumping the salvaged parts onto the ground. I look at the shattered comm panel, at the mess of wires hanging loose from the dashboard. I pull out the new parts, start stripping them down, connecting them to the existing circuitry. My hands work fast, almost mechanically, as if they've done this 100 times before. And maybe they have. The repairs are sloppy, rushed. I know they won't last, but I need to try. I jam the wires together, hit the switch. Nothing. I try again, adjusting the connections, forcing the components into place. This time, a weak light flashes on the panel. I hold my breath, eyes locked on the display. A faint signal icon appears, blinking on and off. I punch in the emergency code, routing the power to the distress beacon. The signal is weak, stuttering. I hit the console, cursing. The light blinks, fades, then comes back on. The signal struggles to push through. I wait, fingers poised over the controls, ready to send the message. But then the panel goes dark. Completely dead. Smoke curls up from the wires. I sit back, slumping against the seat, staring at the burnt-out mess in front of me. Great, I mutter. Just great. I run a hand over my face, feeling the grit and sweat on my skin. I don't know how long I sit there, staring at nothing, mind blank. Eventually, I stand up, walk back outside. I look around the ravine, at the scattered parts, the remnants of past attempts, my own dead body lying just a few yards away. I know what I need to do. I pick up the tools, grab the parts, and get back to work. One more attempt. One more try to break whatever this is. I start with the tools again. The multi-tool, the handful of wires, and the half-burnt circuit boards I've salvaged from the wrecks. I crouch down next to the rover's gutted comm panel and begin stripping wires, twisting connections, half paying attention to what my hands are doing. It's mechanical, something to keep the fear from taking over. I connect the power again. A faint spark jumps, just enough to make the lights blink. Then darkness. I slam my fist into the panel, feeling a sharp jolt of pain shoot up my arm. My eyes are locked on the mess of electronics. Why won't it work? I know it should work. I've done this enough times. The connections, the power flow, it's all correct. But nothing happens. I stare at the console, chest heaving, trying to force the pieces together in my mind. The cables are connected, power is routed properly. I grab the multi-tool again, ready to start ripping things apart. Then I stop. Something's off. I look down at the wires. They're not where I left them. The cables I connected 5 minutes ago are twisted differently. No, not just differently. Pulled out, deliberately crossed over one another in a way that kills the power flow. Impossible, I mutter, grabbing the wires and yanking them apart. I quickly strip them back, forcing them together the way they're supposed to be. The connection snaps into place, and for a split second, the comm panel blinks back to life. I try to catch the signal, but the screen goes black just as quickly as it lit up. The smell of burnt metal wafts up, and I choke on a curse. I drop the tool. I know for a fact I wired it correctly the first time. Someone changed it when I wasn't looking. I force myself to breathe, to push away the creeping panic. There's no one else here. I know that. I've checked the perimeter, seen no signs of life other than, well, myself. The thought settles in my gut like a stone. If there's no one else, then how did this happen? My eyes flick to the sky, then to the rocky horizon around me. It's the same ravine, the same scattered wreckage, but now it feels hostile, like it's watching. I grip my teeth and get back to work. Can't afford to spiral into paranoia. Not yet. I move away from the rover, scanning the ground for more salvageable parts. I keep glancing over my shoulder, checking the cables, the tools, anything that could move out of place. I can't explain it, but something is messing with me. Something I can't see. My eyes land on a patch of rocks near the ravine's edge. I swear they were in a different formation earlier, more scattered, less aligned. I walk over, picking up a small stone and turning it over in my hand. It's smooth, unnaturally so, as if it's been ground down to this shape intentionally. I glance at the ground around me, more stones forming a line. No, not just a line, a pattern. It looks like coordinates, numbers. I drop the stone and back away. I force myself to look around, scanning the ground, the walls of the ravine, the sky. It's the same place as before, but now it's different, changed, subtle, like someone rearranged the pieces when I wasn't watching. The landscape itself feels wrong, like a puzzle that's been put back together incorrectly. A noise comes from behind me, a faint clatter. I whip around, fists clenched, ready for nothing. Just the pile of scrap I left next to the rover. The same pieces of metal, wires and tools. Except now, one of the tools is missing. I swear it was there a second ago. I march over, kneeling down to sift through the parts. My multi-tool is gone. It was here minutes ago, and now it's just not there. I stand up, a chill running down my spine. The ground feels unsteady beneath my feet, as if the entire ravine is shifting when I'm not looking. I turn slowly, scanning the area, the scattered pieces of equipment. I need to find out what's happening, how it's happening. At the far end of the ravine, something glints among the rocks. I approach cautiously, my eyes locked on the object. As I get closer, my stomach sinks. It's my multi-tool, half buried in the dirt, right next to a series of marks scraped into the ground. I crouch down, studying the scratches. They're arranged in a spiral pattern, lines crossing over each other, intersecting at odd angles, not random, but deliberate. The pattern reminds me of a schematic. Circuitry, maybe. I reach out to touch it, then hesitate. My own hand twitches, instinctively pulling back. No, not yet, I mutter, clenching my fist. Not until I know more. I grab the multi-tool and pocket it. I trace the edge of the spiral with my finger, following the lines. The air feels heavy here, charged. I shiver and step back, shaking my head. This isn't natural. This isn't me. Something is interfering, changing things when I'm not looking. I don't know how, and I definitely don't know why. I'm not alone here. Something's observing, altering reality around me, like a puppet master tugging at invisible strings. I take a deep breath and force myself to think clearly. The shifting landscape, the rearranged tools, the spirals, all signs of something at work beyond my understanding. Back at the rover, I pull the logs out from the cockpit, flipping through them, scanning the pages. The words blur together at first, but I focus, reading them line by line. Every entry is a reflection of what I've been doing, fixing the comms, gathering supplies, exploring the ravine. But then there are notes, scribbled in the margins. Lines I didn't write, or at least don't remember writing. Not a loop. A reset. Something's changing the sequence. But why? Another entry. Tools missing again. Rocks moving. Structure in the distance. I pause, flipping to the last page. More frantic writing scrawled across the paper. It wants me to try. Wants me to keep fixing, keep moving. Testing? No exit. Find source. Testing. The word lingers in my mind, sticking like a thorn. I shove the log back into the cockpit, slamming the panel shut. If this is a test, then I'm nothing but a rat in a maze. My stomach knots up, anger bubbling under my skin. I've been following a script, one I didn't write, and whoever is running this show wants me to keep playing my part. I turn to the alien markings on the ground, the spirals, the symbols I can't decipher. There's more going on here than just me, a crashed rover, and an endless series of failures. It's a machine, a system designed to mess with me, to push me into figuring something out. I grab my pack, hoist it over my shoulder, and start walking toward the far end of the ravine. I need to find the source, need to confront whatever's messing with me. I don't know if it'll help, if I'll get answers, or just end up like the other versions of myself scattered around here. But I can't just sit and wait for the next reset or whatever it is. I have to do something. As I move, I catch glimpses of the ground shifting subtly, rocks rearranging themselves when I blink, patches of dirt smoothing over as if erasing my footprints. It's all too precise, too controlled. I follow the spiral patterns, tracing them deeper into the ravine. If something's behind this, then I'm going to find it. And if it's running a test, well, it's about to get an answer it didn't plan on. I stand at the edge of the ravine, looking down into the darkness below. My mind spins as I try to make sense of it all. The shifting rocks, the moving tools, the spirals etched into the ground. I don't know how, but this place, this entire world, is screwing with me, changing things behind my back. Maybe there's something here, hidden deep within the ravine, controlling all of this. I start climbing down, feet carefully finding purchase on the crumbling rocks. My hands scrape against the cliffside, and small stones clatter down into the abyss below, echoing in the silence. I keep my eyes fixed ahead, refusing to look back at the wreckage above. It feels like hours before I finally reach the bottom. My legs ache, muscles burning from the strain. I take a second to catch my breath, scanning the narrow passage stretching out before me. I grip the multi-tool strapped to my belt and start moving forward, eyes fixed on the path ahead. As I walk, I begin to notice signs of my previous attempts scattered around. A torn fragment of a suit, faded and covered in dust. I pick it up, examining the worn-out fabric. The cut and color match my suit perfectly. It's mine, no doubt about it, but I haven't ripped my suit. Not yet, at least. Further along, I stumble across another wreck. The remains of a rover, half buried in the dirt, look identical to my own. I clench my jaw and move closer. I peer inside the cockpit and my stomach churns. Another corpse, another me. Its head is slumped forward, skin stretched over its skull. The suit, torn and discolored, matches mine perfectly. I reach out, hesitating for a moment before I grab the visor and lift it. The face underneath is mine, but different. Older, worn. The eyes are sunken, lips cracked and pulled back into a grimace. Jesus, I breathe, stumbling back. My head spins for a second, memories rushing through my mind, flashes of pain, heat, suffocation. I've died before. I've died here before. I leave the wreck behind, pushing further into the ravine. The air grows colder and the spirals along the walls shimmer with increasing intensity. They're guiding me, leading me deeper into whatever the hell this is. After a while, I come to a dead end. The path opens up into a cavern, and there, embedded in the far wall, is the structure. It's metallic, angular, jutting out from the rock like a parasite. This is it. This thing is behind everything that's happening to me. I reach out and brush against the structure's surface. It's warm to the touch. I move my hand along its surface, feeling the grooves and indentations of the symbols carved into it. I glance around, spotting a panel on the side that seems to be a hatch. I pry it open, revealing a narrow passage inside. The interior is cramped, filled with conduits and unfamiliar equipment. Lights shine along the walls, illuminating patterns etched into the metal. It's like stepping into the belly of a living organism. I push forward, my hand gripping the multi-tool at my belt. The passage curves sharply, leading me into a circular space. And there in the center sits a massive device. It's a mass of cables, circuits, and nodes. The device glows faintly, its surface shifting as if it's breathing. I take a step closer, my heart thudding in my ears. This is it. The source of the resets. The thing that's been manipulating my reality, playing me like a puppet. I approach, eyes locked on the core. Whatever this is, it's sentient, observing me, altering the environment to push me in certain directions. It's an experiment, a test. A wave of anger surges through me. I've been toyed with, reset for some purpose I can't even begin to comprehend. I clench my fists, stepping up to the core. "You want to test?" I growl through gritted teeth. "Then let's see how you handle this." I pull the multi-tool from my belt and jab it into the mass of circuits. The core reacts violently, sparks fly, sending a deep vibration through the chamber. I feel the floor shake beneath my feet, and for a second I think I've done it. I've broken the cycle. A shockwave erupts from the core, throwing me back against the wall. Pain shoots through my body, blinding white-hot agony that tears through my nerves. I scream, clutching my head as memories flood my mind in a chaotic torrent. I see myself die. Over and over. Burned, crushed, suffocated. Each death is as real as the one before it, each pain sharp and immediate. The space around me shifts, the walls warping and bending as if reality is breaking apart. The glyphs glow brighter, blinding me as the pain crescendos. My vision dims, and everything goes black. For a moment, I float in nothingness. No sound, no light, no feeling. Just nothing. Then slowly I become aware of a rhythmic beeping. My eyes snap open, and I gasp, sitting upright. I'm in the driver's seat of the Rover, my hands gripping the wheel. The console is shattered, wires poking out like ruptured veins. The displays are dead, all of them. I let out a choked breath. It happened again. I reset, but something's different. The memories surge forward, clear and vivid. I remember it all. The ravine, the spirals, and most importantly, the device. I remember jamming my multi-tool into the core, the shockwave that knocked me back. My head spins as I grasp the fact that I've carried this memory through the reset. Messing with the core must have broken something. The machine is still running, still pulling the strings, but now I can see the threads. I grip the wheel, my knuckles turning white. The rage surges up again, but this time it's different. I'm not lost in confusion anymore. I'm pissed. I stare out at the wreckage, at the spirals in the dirt. The machine wanted a test, an experiment to see what I would do. Fine, I'll play its game. But now I'm playing to win. I unclench my hands, letting them fall to my sides. I have no idea how many times I've been through this or how many more it'll take, but I'm not giving up. I glance toward the ravine's edge where the spirals wait, guiding me back toward the structure. The memory of the core is sharp in my mind, and that knowledge feels like a weapon in my hands. "All right then," I mutter, grabbing my tool belt and securing it around my waist. "Round 2. And with that, I step out of the Rover, ready to confront whatever's waiting for me down there. Again. But this time, I know what I'm facing. The climb down the ravine feels different this time. My legs are steady, my steps firm. I'm not scrambling blindly into the unknown. I remember what's down here now. The spirals on the walls, the scattered bodies of my past selves. They don't shock me anymore. They're part of the cycle, signposts along the path to whatever's controlling this nightmare. The ground beneath my boots crunches as I move forward, eyes fixed on the cavern entrance ahead. The walls are marked with the same spirals as before. This time, I don't hesitate. I stride forward, determined to face the device again, even if I have no idea what I'll do when I get there. I reach the opening and step into the cavern. It's just as I remember it, metallic, angular, covered in those shifting glyphs. The structure juts out from the rock like a wound, an unnatural, throbbing presence that fills the space. I approach the passage I found last time, the narrow gap in the rock that leads inside. It's there, unchanged, as if waiting for me to return. I draw in a deep breath and step through, bracing myself for what lies ahead. The walls glow faintly as I navigate the passage. I'm ready this time, prepared for what lies at the end. When I enter the chamber, I see it, the core. But something's changed. Its glow is no longer stable, shifting with an irregular pulse. Sparks spit out from exposed cables that weren't there the last time. The whole thing looks damaged. I take a tentative step forward. Did I do this? I move closer, squinting at the mess of cables and circuits. The spot where I jammed the multi-tool is scorched, a tangle of wires hanging loosely. I can see the marks of my previous attempt, the gouge left behind when I tried to tear the core apart. A part of me almost laughs in disbelief. The reset happened, but the damage stayed. My eyes dart to the far side of the chamber. Slumped against the wall is a body. I recognize the position, the crumpled limbs, the torn suit. It's me, right where I fell after the core blasted me back last time. I approach cautiously, the sight of my own corpse sending a chill down my spine. It's a morbid confirmation that tampering with the core broke something in the reset process. I left a mark. I step back, my gaze locking onto the core. It's weakened, barely holding itself together. The reset happened, but it's no longer perfect. The machine is faltering. I can hurt it. Maybe this isn't an endless loop. Maybe I can wear this thing down bit by bit. I glance back at my body slumped against the wall, then at the core, damaged but still active. It's a clear sign that what I'm doing matters, that I'm leaving scars on this cycle. This time, I know more. I've learned, and I've made an impact. The core wanted to test me, to break me with its resets. Well, it's about to find out just how stubborn I can be. I approach the core, the damaged section sparking violently. Its glyphs flash faster now, erratic and disjointed. It's almost as if the thing is struggling, like it knows what's coming. I crouch down, eyeing the exposed circuits. This time I don't hesitate. I jam the multi-tool into the damaged spot and twist. The core convulses, its glow stuttering. A high-pitched whine fills the space, rising to a deafening scream. The air around me crackles and I brace myself for the shockwave. It slams into me, hurling me backward. Pain rips through my body as I crash against the wall. I collapse to the ground, my muscles burning with strain. I feel the pull of the reset, that familiar sensation of being torn away from reality. My surroundings dissolve into darkness. The void engulfs me, but something's different. I'm aware of it now, the emptiness thrumming with energy, like a machine struggling to reset a broken part. I float in it, feeling the echoes of the last cycle, the damage I caused. The void shatters, and I become aware of a rhythmic beeping. My eyes snap open, and I suck in a breath, sitting upright. I'm back in the rover, hands gripping the wheel. But it's not the same. I glance around, eyes locking onto the tools, the console. The multi-tool is back on my belt, reset like everything else, but there's a shift in the air, a buzzing tension that wasn't there before. I look to the horizon, to the ravine's edge, and a certainty settles over me. I made a mark. The core was damaged. The cycle isn't clean anymore. I take a slow breath, letting the realization sink in. The reset happened, but it's cracked. I can leave scars, I can hurt this thing. My grip on the wheel tightens, not in fear, but in a grim resolve. The machine is trying to maintain control, but I'm still here, still fighting, and now I know I can do more than just survive. I can push back. All right then, I mutter, grabbing my tool belt and securing it around my waist. My eyes flick to the ravine, where the spirals wait, leading me back to the core. I know it'll be different this time, that the core is wounded, vulnerable. I step out of the rover, ready to head back into the fray. There's no triumph, no relief, just a cold determination. This cycle isn't endless, it can be broken. And that means there's a way out. I just have to keep fighting, keep pushing. With my jaw set, I start moving toward the ravine's edge. The memory of my past failures fuels me, but so does the knowledge that I've made progress. I won't stop until this thing is shattered, or until I am. One of us is going to break. And it sure as hell isn't going to be me.